As I've said this to you guys before, roster building is a 12-month process. And you can't sit here and rest on your laurels. Oh, you went to the Super Bowl, so obviously you're going to go back again.
Your decisions are made above your shoulders rather than in your heart.
Exactly.
And so
Listen, at the end of the day, we're going to do the evaluation. We're going to see what we feel we need, and we're going to do everything we can to get better.
What is up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and we're here to talk Carolina Panthers from the fan perspective. You can check us out every Tuesday night, 10 p.m., you can tweet the show using the hashtag C3, and you can also comment on YouTube. Last week, the comments on YouTube were down for me, but I got them going, and it looks like people are already chiming in. And I'm here to share this fan experience with my brother from another mother, getting strong again. Joe Riolano, what is up, my friend?
Hey, Tony, it's good to be back on. I am getting stronger. Sometimes my voice is cooperating, and sometimes it struggles, but I am getting stronger. I'm glad to be here. Another Tuesday night, and I'm ready to talk some Panthers football.
Fantastic. Hopefully, Joe, we have a special guest coming on a little bit later. We'll see if we can connect with Gene Thomas from Buc What Ya Heard. It's definitely my favorite podcast name ever, even if it's for an opposing team. And if let's just go ahead and say this is, look, it's quiet time for the Carolina Panthers. It's quiet time for C3 a little bit. Is that the website still going strong, but we've downshifted a little bit to catch our breath in this quiet time, because this is the only quiet time for the Panthers when it doesn't matter. But you can always help us grow by sharing the show, by following us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles, or visiting the website. Check us out on Stitcher and iTunes. Tonight's episode is going to be titled episode 16.5, Free Agency Free When You Don't Buy. We'll be talking about the Carolina Panthers' typical free agency debut. It's probably just getting started right now, a week after everybody else does. We'll also be focusing on some of the hidden stories, confirmed visit with, I believe it is, help me out with his name again, Henry from Alabama. Derrick Henry. Confirmed to visit with the Panthers next month. We'll be talking about stories like that, as well as hopefully, if we can catch up with Gene, we'll talk a little Bucs free agency to keep an eye on the division. But, Joey, we're going to try to keep the show moving, rocking and rolling, and maybe we even get you out of here a little early tonight if we push through. So let's go ahead and jump into what's hot.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Like a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3? Joey, I guess the biggest move for the Carolina Panthers in free agency outside of bringing back Mike Tolbert or Joe Webb is Paul Soliai. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Soliai, 2-year deal worth $7 million, $3 million guaranteed. He'll make 4 out of that 7 this year. So it's really a $4 million guaranteed unless you cut him this season. He is a big-bodied Polynesian dude, much like an old star Latulele in some ways. Run stopper, pushes the pocket back. How familiar are we with Soliai? And to me, Joey, we know the Falcons well. We know they're not known for a great pass rush, and I guess a guy like this he doesn't get that acclaim because he's a clogger.
Right, and that's, you comparing him to Star is funny because he is bigger than Star, and that's saying something. He's taller and heavier, so definitely a space taker. He's 32, so on the other side of his career. But in our rotation, I think he could still be pretty valuable.
Yeah. I mean, if what you got, Joey, is a guy that Gettleman, this is what you need. You got to create some depth on the defensive line. And what we did is we were able to do this, and we saw a lot of success out of our run stopping ability and our defensive front over the last year by doing this, by pairing some higher end younger prospects like K1 Short, like Star Latulele, and pairing them with some veterans that make sure that you have the depth in case somebody gets nicked up, the ability to stay fresh and not put too much of a burden on the younger guys. And so it's always good to have depth. And what you do is this fits right in line with Dave Gettleman's philosophy of stopping the run, right? And working on that ability to, and that's what he says. He's got 3 core tenets of his football, which is run the ball, stop the run, get after the passer. He says that's the recipe for success in the NFL. And so this fits right in line with that. Moving on, in the same vein, Joey, how do you like this? 2 days ago, David Newton reported, per source, he said that the Panthers could be interested in Paul Soliai as one of the guys. But then he says also, according to his source, BJ Raji. And then my man retired the next day. Did he retire because Dave Newton started talking about him and he just didn't want to talk to Dave Newton anymore or be affiliated with him?
Yes.
I just thought that was interesting, is that my source says Panthers are interested in them. And if they were, Joey, why would he retire at the age of 29 if he had a chance to go to a Super Bowl contender? And he's kind of on a Super Bowl contender. I just think this is just BS.
I heard today that he has changed his tune and saying now he is on a 1-year hiatus. He is only 29.
What is he going to do in that year, Joey? He can't get any bigger.
Maybe get in better shape. And
how do you get in better shape than playing in the NFL?
I'm throwing things out there. I can't imagine. I can't imagine why he would take a year off. And like you said, it'd be one thing if he was being courted by, like, the
Browns.
The Browns. But Carolina's a contender. And, he could make some money if do nothing else, making the playoffs and getting those bonuses. Does he fit? Does he fit in a Panthers type scheme? He seems like he's really like a 3-4 nose guy. He's more suited for that, but a big guy is a big guy. Right. And, really him coming to us could also every now and then allow us to switch it up and maybe put in a 3-4 look just to just to give something else for the other offense to worry about.
That would be odd, right? But you do have kind of the personnel to do it, right?
Right.
In some ways, if you put him in there and you put in K'Wan Short and you put in Coney Ely as your three defensive linemen, and then you put in Shaq, Kuechly,
Klein,
Thomas Davis, or even you could even put in Mario Addison as kind of like. Yeah,
I mean, him at linebacker. So many combinations of what you could do. Yeah,
that would be it. That would. I hadn't thought of it like that. All right, moving on to what Smoke Wagon said is Tom Pelissero reported with the USA Today that Heisman winner Derrick Henry says he has 2 visits set up next month: the Panthers and the Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys need a running back. That's for dang sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How good is this Derrick Henry guy?
Well, at the Combine, he was very impressive. And, you saw he won the Heisman. He played at Alabama. I would be shocked. I mean, like floored if the Panthers went that way with him. Personally, I don't like him for Carolina. I think he runs too tall. He runs hard, but he runs too tall, in my opinion. But he's a tall guy. So,
Lynn on Twitter says that the Cowboys prefer Elliott as a running back over Henry.
As do I.
Let's keep rolling. We're gonna get out of here. We're having fun tonight. Joey, I've been working like a dog at the new house.
I know.
I've been trying to.
Are awesome, man.
Yeah. 800 square feet in 5 days of like the hardest bamboo flooring. It's harder than oak, dude. So I've been watching. I haven't been commenting. I've been watching my Twitter, my direct message thing just blow up. I responded to Willie on Chocolate Wonderland like 4 days after he messaged me. And then the problem was it wasn't anything really that important. He just asked me something about some players or what I thought about somebody. But then there was like 957 messages in one of those DM threads after that one. Like if you're not on top of those, dude, they just get out of control.
Right.
So I've been trying to keep up with things. So tonight I did look up some stuff. It turns out, and I was floored when I started looking around the league, Joey, about some of the things. And I was hoping we could catch up with Gene tonight. I wanted to ask him about Robert Ayers. Hopefully we can get that later. But with the continuing the Carolina Panthers and free agency, turns out there is only one Mike Tolbert. And that one is back in Carolina. Tolbert signed a 2-year deal citing, and this is quote, I had some other places to go, but this is home for me. I'm excited to be back. But mama said, get your ass out there, get out of my kitchen and get on that damn football field and win a football team, Super Bowl. Nah, I made up that last part, but he did say I had other places to go. Where'd you have to go, Tolbert? Mama said, get out of the kitchen and get back to Carolina and win a Super Bowl. Prove me wrong again. I'm fine with it. But this is where I thought this was interesting. He goes on to say, there's only one of me. And you name another fullback in the league that can do what I do. Running back, fullback, special teams, and even tight end sometimes. My man is playing with confidence in his latter part of his career, is he not?
Yeah, he is. He really is. And again, fullback is probably an overstatement.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of a friend of the show now, Gene Thomas, can we get an audio check, sir? What's up, my friend?
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me on. As always, the professor and the freaking Puerto Rican living legends.
Thank you.
Glad
we
to
were
be amongst you.
We were just talking about how Mike Tolbert's starting to talk about that himself that way. He said after he signed his deal with the Panthers coming back, he said, "There's only one of me. You name another fullback that can do what I do. There's only one of Gene, and he's got the best podcast name in the history of podcasts. Buc What Ya Heard." Gene, tell them when you do your show and a little bit how they can follow you.
You know, I'm really excited. It looks like Thursdays is going to work the best for me. I am working with a actual radio, sports radio host who has his own shows on Saturdays. And so Thursdays you can catch me at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And once again, the name of the show is Buc What You Heard. I love interacting with the fans. It's a fan show. And you bring your passion and your excitement. Don't get too crazy because that's I'm not with all that. But I'm really excited to be on here with you guys, and I'm ready to talk some free agency.
We got just a couple more topics on the Panthers, and I know you follow the Panthers. And actually, we only got one more that I wanted to talk about tonight, I think, and it was I'm perusing Reddit, Joey, and I stopped. I don't comment on Reddit really very often. I don't post on Reddit.
Never.
I just lurk, and I was lurking on the Panthers Reddit board or whatever you call it, and there's this article that this dude submitted, and here's the title of it. The only NFL team that can save Johnny Manziel's career is the Carolina Panthers. And he put in quotation marks, "I wrote this and I'm nuts." And Tom NJ posted this. He wrote this article or blog or whatever on medium.com, and then he posted his link, right? So them dudes on Reddit jumped all over him for posting his own stuff.
Yes.
On a Reddit board, because you don't post your own stuff. I learned that one when I was like 8 years old when we were doing the website 3 years ago. That's right. But so it's so then I gotta go. I'm looking through the Reddit comments, and you get the typical ones, clickbait, this and that, and then you get these guys that are trying to debunk or like address his argument rationally. So it's purely an irrational he just made up this kind of weird hypothesis that makes no sense. It's completely irrational, and they were saying things like this: Carolina doesn't even need a quarterback. We've got 3 on the roster. And then they're going through all these things like, no, he wouldn't be a locker room fit. And I'm like, guys, I'm just looking at it. And then this one guy by the name of Sick Burn Bro says this: the only thing that can save Johnny Manziel's career is Johnny Manziel quitting cocaine, learning how to drink responsibly, and devoting himself to the game of football. To me, that just squashed the conversation. I don't think it's the Carolina Panthers. Hey, Gene, could Tampa Bay save Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel is the only person that can save himself. Just like you mentioned, I think it's a waste of talent. You saw glimpses of what he could potentially be at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. When he entered into the NFL, if he had dedicated himself to his craft, another quarterback that comes to mind is Josh Freeman, who was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Had these guys dedicated themselves to bettering their craft every single day, every single game, you see Johnny Manziel and you see how he's been privileged to do what he's been able to do. and he's gotten away with stuff. He's never had to answer for anything. When he went to rehab, he could have bettered himself. He could have started right then and there and fixed his career at that point. I'm talking about socially. I'm talking about within the NFL and within the fan base themselves, because, you know, taking that time to get into rehab, get your head right, go in and rededicate yourself to being the best quarterback in the NFL. All of this falls back on him. So, no, Tampa definitely would not be a good landing spot for him. I think that, you know, with Mons Venus and all the strip clubs and, you know, Ybor City, and, you know, he's 4 hours away from Miami, he would be doomed to fail coming to Tampa. This would be the last place a guy with no self-control would want to be.
I think, Joey, that you know, there's only one man for the job to save Johnny Manziel, and that's Tony Dunn. I tried to save Charlie Sheen once, but he didn't. He didn't help. He didn't take my company yet. But hey, Johnny, me and you can roll out on a Friday night, and we'll save the world.
Yeah.
Or paint it red.
You'll do something in the world. That's for sure.
We'll do something. All right. I just want to mention this because we're going to go and shift to the second segment of the show with Gene. We brought him on to talk free agency in general, specifically, though, focusing on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before we jump into that conversation, I want to remind everybody you can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and help us out by doing two things. You can either scroll to the bottom of the page and donate $1, $2, if you watch the show or something like that. I don't like to ask donations, so that's the only time I'll ask for like 4 months. The next thing is the best way to help us is to buy some stuff like the Cam Wow Carolina Panthers gear we got on the website. You can find that under Shop C3. And also, if you just want to buy some stuff off of Amazon, if you go to our website to get to Amazon, they will give us a referral fee, which is like pennies. But hopefully we can add it up and pay for the website for the year. That's the goal. You just go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and you go to the Shop tab and click Shop Amazon. It takes you straight to Amazon, no charges. So if you guys want to do that, but actually the best way to help the show, even don't donate money, how about just give us a share? Comment on Tuesdays, comment afterwards, follow us on Stitcher, leave a comment. We love that, and we love all of our hardcore supporters who are here every Tuesday night because you guys are really the show. We're just kind of up here having fun. Gene, big story coming out of Tampa Bay. Robert Ayers, 3 years, $21 million, $10.5 million guaranteed. Did you see that coming?
I heard rumors of it, and I'm happy with the move because you're looking at an upgrade.
Very.
Basically, and you know, you can look at what Tampa was capable of doing last season throughout their 6-win season. I think that the defense was a big liability, and I'm really happy that they've made some moves to really help the pass rush. And you know, I'm really hoping that this pays dividends. I think it's more of a low risk, high reward move, and I love the move. I think that you know, I thought that they were going to lose him when he came into One Buc Place and left without a contract, but we see that the general manager did follow through, and he is looking to upgrade in key positions.
Let me ask you this, Gene. Is this another Michael Johnson type signing?
Not at all. Not at all. I believe that this is a guy that has proven himself over the years, and you see, I think he ended up with, 9.5 sacks last year?
Yeah, I think
that was his best year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. But you know, if you look at his body of work since he's been in the NFL, he's been consistent. I think that he will fit this Mike Smith defense, and you know, definitely an upgrade over what we've had over the past 3 years. You know, 3-4 years at that position. And I think the other person that comes to mind as far as a pass rush goes would be Michael Bennett, who was homegrown, and you know, unfortunately, the administration at that time let him walk to the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a great move, and I think he will definitely you'll definitely see him paying dividends right out of the gates.
Okay.
I didn't realize he had been in the league so long.
Yeah, that's something I had to kind of go back and take a look at him because other than the Saints, I think the Giants are one of those teams that are very high on my hate list. So I tend not to pay a whole lot of attention to them. But this is one of those things where I had to actually go back and look at game film on him, and I'm really excited by what I've seen.
He's 30 years old.
Yep.
So
I didn't realize that. I had no idea.
So you got him on the outside, and you're gonna bring McCoy up the middle. Is that the plan?
Yeah, and you have Clinton McDonald, and also you have Jacquez Smith. And Jacquez Smith quietly had 7.5 sacks, even though he was injured for part of the year. So hopefully he can stay healthy and contribute as well. I think that what you're looking at from this Buccaneers organization right now is they feel like the majority of the defensive players that are on this team currently can contribute to the Mike Smith defense, and they feel like it could potentially have been the scheme or the play calling that could have really inhibited the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, so let's talk linebacker. Well, we know you have Levante David,
Right.
who's solid. Who was the rookie last year that did well?
Quan Alexander, and you guys will definitely be calling. You'll remember his name after the first couple of games this year. This guy, had he not been suspended, I think that he would have been in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year because he's basically come in and commanded the respect that you would get from leadership like a Gerald McCoy. What he's been able to do, the intangibles, not so much statistically, but those intangibles to come in and be able to make plays. He has a nose for the ball, very similar to a Levante David. And what a lot of people didn't notice in the time going up to his suspension is that he was able to make plays, so Levante David didn't make as many plays. And I know everybody was worried about the move losing the linebacker that went to Chicago. His name escapes me. Yeah. And so basically what's happened is this is an upgrade. This is Mason Foster was the guy, but believe it or not, you've got a rookie that's come in and he supplanted Bruce Carter, and he came in and did what he did. I'm so impressed with this kid and his high motor and his high energy and what he brings to this defense. I think that you will see him in the next couple of years as a defensive leader on this team.
He made some really big plays against the Falcons, didn't he?
Absolutely. And I was really happy with it.
I'm sorry, what was the suspension for?
Performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, I think it was some kind of energy drink that he had, and it was part of the blacklisted things, and he didn't, allegedly, he didn't realize that it was, but all that's behind him now. He's fulfilled his suspension, and I think that he's going to be a big part of this defense, as long as he can stay healthy.
He was balling out. I do want to touch back one thing on the Robert Ayers deal. What's interesting about this is that you signed a 3-year deal, which I think is great. When you can, you didn't get this guy. You basically paid $10.5 million for him this year. Probably right. Some more. I mean, it's 20. You paid half of his salary in the first year. You really get to decide if he stays or goes after this. Absolutely.
And like I said, I believe that this is a guy that's he's got this prove it type of contract, he's going to do well for Tampa. I think he's going to alleviate a lot of the stress that Joe McCoy is having to suffer with the double teams, and really help the front four to get pressure on the quarterback. And with Mike Smith, and I know you guys remember, when he was coaching, I do believe that him as a defensive coordinator, with the amount of talent that he has on this defense, I think that you're going to see a team that you should have seen in Atlanta. And I look at the quality of talent that Atlanta had while Mike Smith was the coach, and I think that you have better talent with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than you did in Atlanta, and I think that his scheme will work a lot better with this talent, and you'll see a lot more plays, more splash plays than what you saw.
It seems that the Bucs are trying to tune up the defense or retool the defense, knowing that they had some key components, but they didn't have enough, versatility. They bring in Miko Grimes from Miami. That's not my joke. It's my buddy Clip.
I'm gonna defend my girl right there. As soon as she got to Tampa, I welcomed her to Tampa, and she's been awesome. I like what I saw in Miami. I think that she's that ride or die chick, and she wasn't. I don't think she was wrong in a lot of the stuff that she called out on in Miami. But there's a time and place for everything, and to me, winning is going to cover a multitude of sins, and I'm excited that she's here. I was a big fan of Brent Grimes when he was at Atlanta. I thought that Tampa should have gone after him as opposed to a Darrelle Revis. And the reason I say that is because your expectations are not as high for a Brent Grimes, where he could have come in and consistently performed and really helped the team. So that was just, hindsight's 20/20, but that was the guy that I would have wanted over a Darrelle Revis with the catastrophic knee injury. So, it's water under the bridge. I'm glad he's here. I think that he will definitely help the secondary.
That's pretty bold to say that I am excited to have Miko in Tampa, and I can't wait to see what she does while she's here. I can't wait to see her arrested in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey like this picture.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, bro.
You can't delete handcuffs.
Bro, hey, you know what? That was Miami. This is Tampa. I'm defending my girl now. I'm going to defend my girl
you're way across
here.
the whole country. It's way across. Not only is it a completely different place, it is so geographically far from Miami.
Hey, Miko, I got your back. Don't worry. I got this. I'm going to handle this.
I still want to say, what's that, Joe?
I like the move in bringing over Grimes. I think he's a real boost to that secondary. I like the moves that the Bucs are making on defense. I just think we're going to see some improvement, but it's going to take a year for these guys to sort of gel in the new system and with each other.
Well, they better not take that long because they're old.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be. We know when teams build only through free agency, what happens. We've seen it a million times over and over. But I think.
Well, they got their quarterback now, so hopefully that is going to turn.
And this is the thing. Right now, Carolina has set the bar in the NFC South. Actually, in the NFC, and you guys are the bar right now. And this is what Tampa, the Saints, the Falcons, everybody has to be shooting for, is what Carolina was able to do. So, you guys have set the bar. It's easy to look down on the rest of the situation, but I really do believe that the Bucs have put themselves in a position that they will improve. They will improve over the 6-win team you saw last year. I know the schedule's going to be a lot tougher. I'm looking forward to see where Tampa is in the grand scheme of things. Based on the schedule that we have, the teams that we play, even facing Carolina twice this season. I'm really looking forward to that just to see where Tampa really is.
What was I going to say about Miko? I have one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, this is one other thing I got to say about Miko is that I swear this is kind of weird. I saw like a side by side, like her and her husband hugging, like him from behind. I think they look a lot alike. Like I think
bro, when you've been with somebody as long as they've been together, man, you start to look alike. I mean,
is that right?
You see that with elderly people, they start looking alike,
Wow.
But I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm happy that she's a Buccaneer fan. I would rather have her on my side than having it against me. So I'm excited, man.
She just stab you in the back on your side. On the other one, you got
I got her back though. We gonna roll this year.
See, don't got yours though. All right, tell me about this. Doug Martin. What's the deal with him?
That's the
Doug Martin is signed. Doug Martin is
signing by the Buccaneers was re-signing Doug Martin, I think.
Absolutely.
What is the deal? How long did you get him for?
5 years.
Oh, well, you're stuck with Doug Martin.
Well,
I mean, not stuck in a bad way, but I mean, like, that's a long.
Let me say this. I mean, what Tampa is trying to do is keep the continuity of the offense. And you see they brought back the offensive coordinator, and they basically they brought him up to the head coach position. So you're going to see the same offensive scheme that you've seen in the past. The offensive coordinator that they have brought in is going to run basically the same scheme, same play calling that you had with Dirk Cutter. So basically what Tampa tried to do was maintain the continuity that you saw, and hopefully we'll see some upgrades. You're going to see players that are coming off of injured reserve, like a Kenny Bell, the number 5 pick last year from last year's draft, and a guy that's looking to make an impact on this team. Vincent Jackson coming back from injury. You hope to see what he's going to be able to do. You may even see some draft moves where Tampa picks up a wide receiver in the draft somewhere. So right now, where Tampa is, they're in a good place. They're not hurting at the running back position. They're not hurting at the tight end position. They're not hurting at the wide receiver position. They've helped themselves in the offensive line in a lot of upgrades. So to me, I think what they've done on offense is great. What they've done on defense has started to make those upgrades as well. And it just remains to be seen what they do with the draft. So I think overall you can see where Tampa has tried to step up their game to make themselves more competitive in the NFC South.
There is no denying that. I have to agree with that.
I wanted to know, I was trying to find what Mel Kiper graded y'all's draft last year. I was going to ask you that. I saw one.
He gave us an A.
Because of Jameis Winston?
No, because of Ali Marpet, Donovan Smith, Quan Alexander. All these guys, and Jameis Winston, all of these guys have contributed to help this team from a 2-win team to a 6-win team. I really do believe that had they handled the special teams a lot better, had they had a better kicking game early on in the season, I think you would have saw more wins. But I really do believe that what they've done with the draft, the majority of the players that they've drafted, top to bottom, have come in to be able to really help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and in improving this team. And from there, you're building a foundation for years to come.
A lot of people, you're getting a lot of echoes of that sentiment on Twitter. What did you think about the head coach hire?
If I can be realistic, I'm going to step aside from the fanboy, that kind of thing. Carolina, and I think I've preached this for the past couple of years. Carolina pretty much set the blueprint on how to build an organization. You have to have consistency. That's the main thing. And when you have coaching changes every 2 years, and you have periods of time where you're paying for 2 head coaches, where one's sitting on the couch, and you've brought in another guy because you're not happy with what the first coach was doing, that's a problem. When you bring in new coaching and you get rid of all your draft picks, you get rid of all your free agents, and you're continually starting over from scratch, you cannot win. You cannot be consistent. What Carolina did, bringing in Ron Rivera in the beginning and not listening to the fan base, not listening to the talking heads in the NFL, they kept him in place. They were able to become a team that you saw what you expected, basically. They weathered the storm from the losing seasons. Once they started winning, the one thing you can say about Carolina is you know what to expect coming into the season. There's no questions about, well, what are they going to do at coaching? What are they going to do at this position? You know what you have. And basically going in and winning the NFC South, going to the playoffs 3 years in a row, I mean, it really shows you this is the blueprint right here, consistency. And what Tampa has not been able to do is give a coach a chance to get his system in place, get his players in place, and build from that. It just hasn't happened. And I would say this has been ongoing since John Gruden.
And you're really just right. And it's not, and the Panthers have illustrated it for what you said. The reason the Panthers are the latest team that has done this, but also one of the things they did is they got a head coach, they got a quarterback, they had a year with those guys, and then they got
general manager.
Then they got the new GM. I believe, didn't we? We didn't have Dave Gettleman. We didn't have Dave Gettleman during Cam Newton's rookie year. So what you do is that you brought in a new GM, and he chose to stick with that continuity, like you're saying, instead of everybody having to kind of pull their thing out of their pants and show everybody how big it is. You know, like, I got to get my guy, I got to do this. And what it's done is created an environment, that continuity, and also that, players, free agents, veterans, they all come and go, but the team and the organization continues to play and stay around. And what
because
you're
you
seeing,
have that foundation.
That's right. And when a guy comes in, and we saw Jared Allen say this, that he was just so impressed by that continuity. He said that locker room was like a cliche. He's coming from a team like Minnesota that has kind of, in many ways, been on this roller coaster ride itself over the last decade. And he saw that, hey, I'm part of something bigger than me as a player. And then you buy into it, you respect it. When you lose, everybody doesn't turn on each other. It's really a special thing, and it's probably, and look at New England. I mean, New England does that better than anybody, right? Is that, hey, it's Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and if you don't like it, you're gone.
Yeah, you will be replaced. And that's my whole thing, because you look at the draft picks that Tampa has had from 2007 to 2016. You just don't have that consistency. You don't have a guy that's been
like a vision.
Exactly. You don't have a direction that you're going. But I think right now with Jason Light, I think what they were able to do with this coaching change was not as drastic as what it's been in years past. So I really do believe that Tampa dodged a bullet by not getting rid of everybody. You've got Dirk Cutter, our head coach. You've got Mike Smith, who's familiar with Dirk Cutter, and they've worked with each other in the past, through the Atlanta days, through the Jacksonville days. So you've got that consistency right there that isn't lost on a coaching change. So this coaching change to me was not as drastic as what it could have been. I think what the ownership and what the general manager tried to do was keep as much of the continuity as they could. And they were able to accomplish that. If you look at all the if you look at the turnover on the defense right now, there wasn't a whole lot of it. So I really do believe that a lot of these players are going to come back, and they know each other, they're familiar with each other, and it's just a matter of everybody getting together within this new scheme.
Right.
You know, Jason Light, this is interesting. I'm going to go write this article this week if I can find a moment. Is this Jason Light's first general manager position?
Yeah, actually, as a general manager, shot caller, yes, it is.
Right.
He did work with Arizona. He was part of the vetting process for Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. He's been part of the vetting process for a few players with sketchy pasts, and he's been able to show that he can assess talent. And this is why I'm very comfortable with what Jason Light is doing with this team and the vision and the direction that he has for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The reason I'm interested in the article that I just can see right away is one of the things that we saw and I'd like to just look around the league at successful general managers and unsuccessful ones and see
like
if
Mark Dominic.
Right. See if there's if there is a correlation between the way they came up through the NFL is, because Dave Gettleman was not hired for several jobs. It looks like Jason Light was up for the Chicago Bears general manager position in 2013, but they didn't go with him, and he went back to, or 2012, he went back to Arizona. That's very similar to Dave Gettleman. But if you go back and look at what Light's career is, 95, he's hired as a scouting assistant for the Dolphins. He then worked for a college football scouting agency, and he was in the Carolina Panthers scouting department in 1998. Joey, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and he was part of the New England Patriots. He's part of that organization as well. I mean,
he held several director of player personnel positions and quality control and positions, which means player personnel and director. What I'm saying, Gene, is that, and I think you're already starting to see this, and we see this in Washington, D.C. now, they got a football guy as a general manager, a scout, a guy that isn't overwhelmed with that doesn't let the money, the glitz, the wind blow make the decision, but they're really looking at it as a football guy perspective.
Oh, most definitely. And another guy that you got to look at is Robinson in Tennessee. This guy, he came up through the ranks as well, and you see the moves that he's made, bringing in a DeMarco Murray. I mean, for a general manager, first-time general manager, making that your big move to bring in a guy like a DeMarco Murray to help a Marcus Mariota, you can see where that type of pedigree, and you're building yourself up, how important that really is.
Yeah, it really is. I want to take a minute here to mention something. It looks like Paul Soliai said. It said, I make linebackers look good.
Oh, wow. Paul Soliai says, I make linebackers look good. Good news
Big
for
sexy.
Paul Soliai. I will say this, Joey. Isn't that an easy statement to say when you come onto a team that's got Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, and Shaq Thompson as your linebackers?
That is easy to say, but if it's true, watch
They're
out.
going to have 200 tackles this year.
Yeah, that's kind of scary right there.
Our linebacking core will combine. The over/under is 300 tackles for the season.
150.
So, I want. I mentioned.
You know that Shaq Thompson's my guy. You remember me talking about him from the draft last year.
Yeah.
I was that guy that said, "Hey, you guys got to steal. You guys got a diamond in the rough with this kid."
He's gonna show out, and maybe not even this year, because I think the cool thing is we don't need him to. I think we're gonna utilize him a lot more this year, obviously. But he's got two guys ahead of him that get a lot of time, a lot of attention. But man, imagine as he hits that third, you get him for 5 years because he's a first-round draft pick. So imagine 3 years, 3, 4, and 5 with him under tutelage of Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly.
I see him as a contributor this year.
Oh,
Right.
Definitely.
I think that he's gonna make noise this year.
I just feel like in next year he's a Pro Bowler type. Like you can see the steps. He got introduced to the NFL without too much pressure, too much attention.
And then recovering from an injury, really, it kind of benefited him as well.
Yeah. So I think he's going to start to really understand the game, and you'll start to see, like Joey always says, the game's going to slow down for him. And when it slows down for Shaq Thompson, good Lord, because that athletic freak is going to be really fast.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, definitely.
All right, last thing on Tampa Bay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our ISO picks and get out of here a few minutes early. One other thing I saw, Chris Conte comes back, $3 million, $2.5 million guaranteed. I like that. I don't know I like Chris Conte. I think he plays hard.
I like the move. I think that he's a stopgap guy. I honestly believe this year is going to tell you if play calling contributed to the problems that the defense had last year. So what you're going to see is Chris Conte given a chance. You're going to see Alteron Werner given a chance. You're going to see Jonathan Banks in the secondary given a chance. I know a lot of the knock was on the secondary for a lot of the problems the Bucs had.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it could be contributed to play calling. So what we're going to see is a totally different scheme, and we're going to see if these players are able to excel in this defense, and if that is truly the case, was it play calling? Because as it stands right now, Lovie Smith is no longer here. You have nobody to blame. If you're still seeing inconsistencies with penalties, if you're still seeing missed position, being out of position, players that are not keying on the ball, just so many different things. It's going to show a lot this season. Based on the new scheme as opposed to the old scheme.
I have a question for you, Gene. Is there any truth to the rumor that the Bucs were offered a second-round pick for Glennon?
That's very true. That is very, very true. Mike Glennon is a hot commodity based on his rookie season and what he was able to follow up with season before last. And I do believe that Denver was in the market for him. He's tall quarterback, big arm. He's a guy that would have fit their system. And, it didn't go down. I think that Jason likes what he sees in Mike Glennon, and he's a great backup for us. And I just think that the teams didn't come with enough to make that trade happen.
So a second rounder, not good enough.
No.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
I guess
look around
you
the league.
have to have something.
Look around the league right now, and you look at the free agent quarterbacks that are available. I would take Mike Glennon over the vast majority of the quarterbacks that are out there right now.
I have no problem with that. I would say that. Well, I guess RG3 had 1 year where they was like dynamic. But if you really think about it, and Fitzpatrick last year, his last year was good. He did. But outside of those 2 seasons from those guys, really Glennon has started games. He's made some plays. He's won some. There's guys getting jobs. Like I would say Mike Glennon he's done more than Osweiler.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's done more with less than what Osweiler has to work with. And to me that puts him in a position where he can command when free agency comes around, he's going to command top dollar. And I know there's going to be some team out of the 32 teams that's going to say, hey, this is our guy. Let's go ahead and pay this man what he's asking for.
All right, Joe, I'm ready to go ahead and get out of here. I think it's time to do our Ice Up Picks, the final segment of the show, where we tell somebody around the league or in the world. Actually, everybody is fair game. Young, old, young, all the way from young children to geriatrics to last week iced up lumber liquidators. So it's fair game. And I'm going to open the floor to Joey. I want to give Gene time to prepare in case he has one. So, Joe, do you have an Ice Up pick for us?
I do. Last week, I did an Ice Up pick of Hulk Hogan for doing a sex tape with his best friend's wife at the request of his best friend and his best friend's wife.
Cheers to you, Hulk Hogan.
So this week, continuing along that same line, the founder of the site that distributed that
Gawker.
video called Gawker, the founder took the stand in court this week because Hogan is suing Gawker over the video. Mr. Nick Denton is the founder of Gawker, and in court he had to do a play-by-play or blow-by-blow, if you will, of the actual sex tape scenes, and he read the paragraphs in the article that corresponded to the video. And supposedly he did it with a very straight face. And he did say at no point did it ever occur to him how this might be detrimental to Hulk Hogan. And I said, of course it never occurred to him, because all he was thinking about was how many hits his site would get for showing this video and how much money he could charge in advertising. So, to Mr. Denton for being able to pull off this color commentary that he gave in court to a jury of men and women, I say, ice up, son.
That's awesome. I hope this Oh yeah.
Ice up, brother.
Ice up, brother. Okay, Gene, do you got an Ice Up pick for us?
Oh yeah, you know I do. And Martavius Bryant, I want you to come to the front of the congregation. We have something we need to talk to you about.
Come to Jesus.
And my guy is Martavius Bryant, and the 1 year minimum suspension that he's getting ready to serve for being. I know he had his excuses. He's saying he suffers from depression, but for failing this drug test, come on, man. You make this much money. You have a skill set that millions of people would kill for, to be able to be a wide receiver, a starting wide receiver in the NFL. You have that ability, and you can't show a little bit of self-control. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we don't know about that I'm sure that they're privy to know. Hey, you know, this drug test might be coming, or the fact that he's tested positive before, so he's on the radar. And for him to be that selfish, of his team for him
What
to
did he
to
test
put him
for? What did he test for?
marijuana.
Yeah, it was pot.
And he gets a year-long suspension for marijuana.
Okay, that's not the point. My point is this. You're making millions of dollars. You have an obligation. You are an investment to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay? You're there to help them win games, get yards, etc., etc., etc. For you to put yourself in front of the team like that, I'm sorry. Get the ice out. You know what? Forget about ice up, son. He can walk the plank, as far as I'm concerned.
That's what you got to make.
Right.
You got to put the walk the plank segment in Buc What You Heard.
That's right. He needs to walk the plank. Oh, I throw the yellow flag too, believe me. I will give him 15 yards in a minute. But what I'm saying here is Martavis Bryant, despite all the problems that there are in the world, come on, man. You are a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most storied organizations in the NFL. Come on. You know you're going to be under scrutiny. If you've already tested positive, they're already looking at you. Yeah. So don't put yourself in this position. Martavis Bryant, ice up, son.
I think that they shouldn't. I don't think they should test for marijuana.
Until the rules change.
Right. I just think that for that one thing, what I would say is that the league should punish if you get arrested for it.
Okay, and let me go a step further. Let me go a step further than that. I think about Greg Hardy body slamming a chick on a bunch of assault rifles. He gets convicted of it, and he only does 4 games for a suspension.
Or Johnny Manziel knocked his girlfriend's hearing aid out. Or her ear. I mean, her ear. Sorry.
Yeah, and she had to get a hip replacement or whatever. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, these are the rules. These are the rules that they have to play by. Come on, get you an assistant that's going to help you to point you in the right direction. And if something comes up, they can help you get out of it. But what he did was totally selfish.
I would say just hang with Rob Gronkowski. You can't be depressed if you hung with him.
Absolutely.
He's always having a good time.
He's always having a good time. That's right. And he don't get suspended. All right, the great ice up picks. I will say, too, on top of that, put your Sammy Coates on.
Yes.
Because that is what – I mean, this is an opportunity. They got a guy right behind him that can do the same stuff, maybe even better if he cleans up some things, because he's a big, strong dude that can run just as fast. Not as tall, but I think I was big on Sammy Coates. My ice up pick this week goes to Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford, it turns out, Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford returning for Indiana Jones 5 in 2019. On top of that, he's coming out, he's re-releasing something with Blade Runner, there was one other one. Harrison Ford, by the way, is 73 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, and that is July. So he's about to turn 74. In 2019, he's going to be 77? Is that right? Or 76?
Yeah.
18, 19. He'll be 76 years old. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. Harrison Ford, I watched the last Indiana Jones, The Dark Skull, and I wish it hadn't have been made. Or Crystal Skull. I wish it hadn't have been made. I know that Indiana Jones has a legacy of kind of some far out things, right? It has a legacy of people getting their hearts ripped out through with their bare hands. It's got a legacy of the Ark of the Covenant being like a bunch of Nazis running around in the desert looking for the Ark of the Covenant, not paying attention to World War II. It has all of this legacy that is kind of far out, but I think Aliens is taking it to another level. They did that in the last one, but I didn't have to wait for the aliens. You lost me at 2 things. My man surfed out of the opening scene out of a nuclear bomb, an exploded nuclear bomb inside a refrigerator. And then the other thing is, let's just go ahead and take the limits out. And then later on in the movie, you show these, he looked all right up close because they did the makeup real close, but then they would zoom out, and it looked like he was standing there hunched over like an old man with a walker, and they just kind of like slipped the walker out and filmed the scene and then gave him back the walker. How is he going to look at 76 years old? Harrison Ford, come on, you really can't need this cash. This is like, the next thing you're going to do is the sequel to Snakes on a Plane. How many illegitimate kids does what did it take to do these things? 73 years old, Harrison Ford, ice up, my man. All right. That's the C3 podcast. Gene, thanks so much for getting on the show. Can you tell everybody how they can follow you?
All right. You could reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. You follow me, I'll follow you back. I love talking football, so, any chance that I can get to talk about it, I'm glad to. Guys, thanks a lot for having me on. Please check out my show, Buc What You Heard. You can find that on YouTube. I've got some old episodes. I've got one from a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about things free agency. I will be doing a show with my co-host, Peter Blake, so I'll look for that on Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and please, if you get a chance, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, some kind of comment. I'll be more than happy to follow up on that. So, thanks, guys, for having me on.
Check it out. I always love Gene's show. I always love when he's comes on the show. Just to mention this, too, Joan says Bryant missed drug tests on top of failing it. So there's another kink another straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah. And she said that her ice-up pick was the Broncos, with their backup plan being Sanchez after letting Brock Osweiler walk. Joey Riolano, tell them how they can follow you on Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitter at Joey Riolano, the freaking Puerto Rican. And it was a great show tonight. Thank you, Gene. It's great when you come on. Enjoy having you. And I can't wait till next Tuesday.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
This is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I am the professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. You can check us out Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock. But since they're listening to this later now, why don't you give us a thumbs up? Go see Gene's Buc What You Heard, or go listen to it. Give him a thumbs up. And if you're on Stitcher or iTunes, leave a comment, give us a share, help us grow in the quiet days, because we stick with them, the Panthers, all year, because it's coming. It's coming. It'll be here before you know it. We'll see you next week.